When my daughter was 12 years old, we did something that felt very brave. The two of us took a trip to Europe. It was her first time out of the country, so it was kind of a big deal. I wanted her to learn how to navigate the world and how to do so safely and without fear. But I confess to you that I myself was a little nervous. Somehow every possible danger seemed enhanced when my little girl was involved. I felt very protective of her, keeping a close eye out for anything suspicious. But I also knew I had limited abilities to protect her. For one thing, I was recovering from a broken leg, and I walked slowly and painfully with a cane. If anything, I was more a target than a defender. What happened on that trip surprised me. My daughter became my protector. She carried my luggage, she looked for the easiest ways for me to get around, and she even alerted me to potential disasters that I failed to notice, like the vomit on the metro seat that I very nearly sat in. Thank God she was paying attention. I realized that while I had a few things to teach her, like how to read a train timetable, she was becoming just as good a traveler as I was, if not better. With her by my side, I felt safe. I guess that's how it begins, the flipping of the script, when the child steps into the role once occupied by the parent. 12 just seems so young. I'm not the first parent to be amazed by their 12-year-old. Though we know precious little about Jesus' childhood, Luke's gospel does give us this one story. From his second chapter, here it is, beginning with verse 41. Now, every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover, and when he was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. When the festival was ended and they started to return, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Assuming that he was in the group of travelers, they went a day's journey. Then they started to look for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been searching for you in great anxiety." He said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. Then he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. His mother treasured all these things in her heart, and Jesus increased in wisdom and in years and in divine and human favor. I can only imagine Mary and Joseph's panic as they discovered that their son was not with them on the return trip to Nazareth. It really was a big deal, and a classic example of why children need to be watched. They don't always make the best decisions. Jesus was a little rascal at age 12, but once his parents got over the heart-stopping fear of losing their son for several days in the big city, they began to see him in a new way. In spite of his youth, he showed a remarkable depth of understanding among the religious leaders. He asked good questions and he had interesting answers. They were all surprised by him, this boy of 12, from Nazareth of all places. Who would have thought? Whoever thinks really when it comes to kids, we famously discredit them. What could they know so new to the world? It is we who must teach them, not the other way around. We send them to school to learn, we quiz them on their knowledge, but generally we squirm when they ask questions of us. Heaven forbid they should realize how much we don't know. It wasn't so long ago when people actually decreed that children should be seen but not heard, and even though no one says this anymore, many still think it. The story of Jesus as a boy may serve to remind us that it behooves us to pay more attention to children's questions and to their answers. They might amaze us. Now, Jesus was certainly special. I'm not sure any parent is comfortable comparing their child with the Messiah, no matter how gifted the kid might be. And yet the spark of curiosity in young Jesus is a trait shared by all children, even those of ordinary parentage. Kids have questions, And as Jesus showed all the rabbis in the temple, kids have answers too, which might be worth listening to. Of course, not every answer suggested by a child is going to be brilliant. Some are flawed, as children in their naivete may miss the bigger picture, but sometimes the inspiration of a novice is exactly what we need to get us out of a rut. The longer we've been part of a thing, the less creative we tend to be as we settle into the familiar comfort of how we've always done things and learn to fear the risk of novelty. But sometimes we really ought to try things we've never done before, and who better than a newcomer to imagine the new possibilities? In Buddhist tradition, this is called Shoshin, or beginner's mind, and it is recognized as a gift. Jesus was not trained to be a rabbi. In spite of this, and maybe because of this, he would challenge many old ideas of the rabbis he had amazed at the temple. He would revitalize religious teachings, bringing a fresh perspective that was life-giving. "You have heard it said," he would say, followed by, "but I say to you," and show an alternate way of thinking about the world and how we fit into it. It gained him a significant following of both friends and foes. Some of his foes were the rabbis themselves, disliking his critique of their rigidity. It's a timeless story, isn't it? One that keeps repeating itself in every generation. Every new thought that disrupts the old patterns feels suspicious to those who have grown comfortable, or at least accustomed to the way things are. If there were a better way, wouldn't we have thought of it by now? We all wonder. But every single innovation, good or bad, was a new idea once. Woe to us if we overlook the possibilities for a better world. And those possibilities are often right there in the minds of children who see the world with fewer limits. The question is, will we ask them to share? And when they do, will we bother to listen? We're so used to turning children away, dismissing them to go back to their play, or worse, to fill their hands with the screens that quiet their voices and stifle their curiosity. As if we have forgotten Jesus' own words, "Let the children come to me." He welcomed children into his presence, perhaps delighting in their questions, for he too had been a curious child. Not only did he welcome children, but he commended adults to become more like children, declaring that the kingdom of God was most accessible to those who retained the childlike qualities like open-mindedness and curiosity. We are fond of saying that children are our future, and indeed they are, but more than this, they are also our present. They're here with us right now in this moment, and they are paying attention. What precious lessons might they teach us if we have ears to listen? At a recent church leadership meeting, someone's grandchild sat nearby, drawing contentedly. We nearly forgot his presence until he piped in with a suggestion to a problem we were discussing. It was a good suggestion. He thought we should hire more people. Of course, the 7-year-old did not understand the constraints of a small church budget, but hey, his idea was valid. More people would be required to do what it was we were talking about. As our meeting continued, the boy occasionally looked up from his drawing, offering more ideas, which I will admit were pretty on point. The prophet was not wrong when he wrote, "And a little child shall lead them." I kind of wish we could recruit that little child with his beginner's mind to assist us in further committee discussions, how he might show us the way. But it turns out children are everywhere, and they are noticing things about the world. From the first grader who wonders why there are bullies at school or anywhere, to the young climate activists who wonder why we are refusing to hold our leaders' feet to the fire. Kids these days have tons of ideas for how to live better now and for how to shape a world where future generations can survive and even thrive. If we are wise, we will listen to them. For what they lack in experience, they more than make up for in creativity, optimism, and a great love for the world that is as much theirs as it is ours, perhaps even more so. Next week I'll be on vacation, and I decided to turn worship over to one of our Sunday school teachers who accepted it like a hot potato and tossed it to the kids who are going to help her run the show. And it will be wonderful, possibly the best worship we've had here in ages. I'm genuinely sorry to miss it. But you know, sometimes you just have to get out of the way and let the children take the lead. Kids these days, and thank God for them.